Whoa, here we are. This is so crazy, so different. It's like normal. It feels normal because I'm in my normal, like, recording place, my video making place. But this is the first official logging off podcast episode where it's just me. No, I know I did one before, but it was different. That was like a fill episode. That was like oh, we're not going to be able to get it done, so I'll just do it by myself, and, we'll make it work, we'll be consistent. This is like on purpose. I have a newfound love for my office because I pretty much spent the last week just fully renovating, fully gutting and cleaning and making my space more useful. My desk is now an L shape. She's an L. This is like what you can see behind me. This is like my writing, thinking, considering, pondering, even reading area. Also makeup. Doing my makeup here. It's been great. It's like something I always wanted. And I got dude, I don't know what it is. It's like sometimes with any sort of project or problem, it was like one of those things that was too small to address, but big enough to be annoying. And that was the messiness of my office. When we moved into this house, we downsized from an apartment. Well, no, sorry, we didn't downsize. Up square footage, down room size, because we went from a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom. So the room that I'm in is much smaller than my previous room. Closet is smaller, and I have a lot of clothes. Okay, sue me. I love experimenting. I love adapting new styles. I like thrift shopping. And I've gotten to a point where I hate throwing out clothes that I like, but I'm just not currently wearing, because a lot of times I circle back to it. Something really embarrassing that happened recently is I have bags in my garage that are ready to go to like Goodwill or go to secondhand consignment places. I dug through them because I wanted to send a box to ThreadUp, and I ended up pulling out like 2 or 3 things that I was planning to give away and like put them back in my closet. So anyway, the point is, I renovated my room. I got to a point where I just sat there. I just sat in the reading chair that used to be in here, and I just surveyed my office. And this is where I spend so much time. All of my working time is in here. And I realized this is a fixable problem. This is a solvable issue. So let me just get off my butt and do it. And I spent the whole weekend pretty much gutting out my office and organizing stuff in the garage. So this is where I'm planning to record the podcast for probably most episodes. Maybe we'll have some unique locations sometimes, but this feels convenient and nice. And bonus, you'll usually have a view of one or many cats in the background. So I hope that's nice. I have some things to talk about. Okay, I put out a poll on Instagram for just to find out like how many of my viewers are readers. So let me just see what you guys said. Okay, the question was, are you guys readers? The top answer is yes, I read. Second answer is I do not read regularly. And the third answer is yes, I read, and I read Brandon Sanderson. That has 18 votes for that one. So based on that knowledge, I'm going to spend a long time talking about The Way of Kings. I started reading The Way of Kings, I think, more than a year ago. It was gifted to me a long time ago, and I heard someone say that it just like, the gist of what they told me is that nothing happens. Could not have been further from the truth, but it took me a while to actually realize that, and to just push past it. Once I got the recommendation from my dad, I was like, okay, I'm in. going to read The Way of Kings. Ended up taking a long break last year, and I finished it. I picked it back up in December. I think it was December. Yeah, and then I just ripped through the last like 40%. Okay. All right. The Way of Kings. I can't not talk about it, and I'm going to talk your ear off about it. If you've read it, you're going to love this. If you didn't read it, this section will have spoilers, but nothing crazy, okay? I'm going to talk more about the essence of the book, why I love it, why I love the Cosmere, why I love Brandon Sanderson, and what specifically this book has meant to me, even in just the short time it's been since I've read it. Okay, so first of all, crash course. Brandon Sanderson is probably one of the most prolific fantasy writers of our current age. I swear he just takes a nap and he wakes up with a book idea. He literally went on a vacation and wrote a book on vacation. So he is, God took all of George R.R. Martin's writing power and gave it to Brandon Sanderson, quadrupled it and gave it to Brandon Sanderson. So one of the things that he writes, probably the most notable thing that he writes, is books from a universe that he created called the Cosmere. I'm new to the Cosmere. I've only read 2? Wait. Yes. No. Yes. This is my second, actually. Only my second. And I'm definitely not reading them in like the prescribed order. The amount of people who have when I talk about Way of Kings, they're like, you haven't read Mistborn? No, I haven't read Mistborn. Okay. I haven't read Mistborn. I'm sorry. I am going to go back and read it once I've finished the second book. So I don't have a full grasp at this time of how much of a time period is, how much of time the Cosmere spans. So that's a bit of a mystery to me, and I don't necessarily want to look it up and spoil it. The books I have read are Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. That's a standalone in the Cosmere universe. Beautiful book. So romantic. So inspiring. So creative. Made me cry so much. The Way of Kings is the first book in the Stormlight Archive. Known to be one of the more challenging books or challenging series in the Cosmere and from Brandon Sanderson. It was challenging. It was really challenging. I think what made it difficult at first was there's like, you get like 6 points of view within the first like 10 chapters, but you end up really only following, I would say 3. The main 3 POVs that you're getting are Kaladin, who is oh gosh, how do I even summarize? He is a bridge leader. And in this part of the Cosmere universe, there's a conflict between man and a people group known as the Parshendi, or I guess an entity known as the Parshendi. I've learned more about them since then, but I won't say it because it's not part of Way of Kings. You learn it later. There's royalty, there's there's social classes as expected. So Kaladin is in the lowest possible social class pretty much. Branded slave, does not have any autonomy and is essentially paying off what could be an eternal debt by carrying bridges for the higher up soldiers. And the way that they is structured is like bridgemen are just expendable. They aren't allowed any armor. They carry the bridges above their heads, full bodies exposed, bridgemen dying all the time. So Kaladin is part of Bridge 4 group. And over the course of the book, he becomes this sort of reluctant leader, reluctant hero, I would say. We learn about his family, his dad was a surgeon and looked down upon in his community despite having a good heart. But his methods were questioned, his goals were questioned, and he just paid no mind to how people perceived him, just did what he believed was right, held a high standard for Kaladin. And we don't necessarily know, we don't learn, oh gosh, I don't think we learn until the end of the book why Kaladin has ended up in this position, so I will not say. I'll leave that for you to discover if you haven't read it. So that's one point of view. Also, yeah. No, actually, I'm not going to say that's spoilery. Too spoilery. The second is Shallan. So Shallan is a upper class character, and she goes to essentially study under this woman named Yasna. Yasna is kind of a very wise, very critical, not in like a pessimistic way, but in a she's a strong critical thinker, challenges Shallan a great deal, puts her in really tough positions and makes her make tough decisions and study difficult topics. Shallan is an artist. She has, I think it's like a photographic memory of some kind. This is a magical series. I don't know if I put that out there, but there are lots of magical elements that I'm not necessarily explaining. Yeah, there's a magical element to Shallan. There's a magical element to Kaladin. And then our last point of view is Dalinar. Dalinar is he's uncle to the king. Brother died, totally and obviously blatantly in love with the king's mother. And Dalinar is a character I did not find myself interested in at first and grew on me so strongly. And I think Dalinar's story and how all of these stories ended up intertwining, the best thing I can say, probably not even the best thing I can think of to say about this book, and I would say about all of Brandon Sanderson books, is I trust him so much as an author. He clearly has such a strong moral compass and holds virtues in such high regard. Virtues like honor, virtues like integrity, honesty, bravery, kindness, compassion, hope. These qualities, these virtues burst through the pages in such it totally sneaks up on you, and you don't even realize until you get to these high emotional points how greatly and how masterfully these seeds of this wisdom was implanted throughout the book, and upheld. So I have read excerpts from The Way of Kings before. I think I read a bit between Shallan and Yasna, and it was kind of like it was a philosophical conversation. But something I want to read for you now is this speech from Dalinar. So Dalinar, without saying too much, he is just at least in this part of the story, he is plain and simple a man of honor. A man of honor in a way that being honorable, being honest, being sincere, doing what's right is so just obvious to him and so like default that the people around him, some people around him, especially those with nefarious intent, believe that it's all phony and that he's just putting on a show, feigning this piety. And Dalinar makes absolutely no effort to correct those perceptions, and recognizes, I think, oh man, this obviously varies case by case, and no person is 100% honorable all the time, of course. But I think his conflict with another character, it's an example of the way that human beings can project our own hearts onto others. And the weaknesses, the vices, the sins that we see in ourselves. We can perceive how another person acts and see how it is different than how we would act or how we would think in that situation. We often will automatically assume that that other person thinks, believes, functions the same way that we do. In The Way of Kings, with Dalinar, there is a character who will kind of do anything to get ahead, and will do it in such a sneaky, clever way, and almost believe that it is honorable what he's doing, honorable or right, that he looks at Dalinar's actions and the way that he makes decisions and the way that he processes, and truly believes that Dalinar is like a cancer to this city, to this civilization. And in a moment of Dalinar realizing that he's been betrayed, decides in this moment to fight with honor regardless of the outcome. And there's also this concept of codes, and it's like a code of honor that's especially upheld in the military. And of course, my Kindle shuts off right as I'm about to read something. So Dalinar, in a moment of despair, hopelessness, not necessarily from himself, but just the situation would prompt it, he says, I'm trying to get through this without crying. Because I was listening to the book while I was cooking, and I just had to like lean over on my kitchenette and just like try to hold back my tears. Okay. If any of this doesn't make sense to you, that's okay, but I hope that this will prompt you to read it. Dalinar turned to the soldiers around them. It is time for us to fight, he said, voice growing louder. And we do so not because we are seeking the glory of men, but because the other option is worse. We follow the codes not because of the gain they bring, but because we loathe the people we would otherwise become. We stand here on this battlefield alone because of who we are. The members of the Cobalt Guard, standing in a ring, began to turn one at a time, looking toward him. Beyond them, reserve soldiers, light eyes and dark, gathered closer, eyes terrified, but faces resolute. Death is the end of all men, Dalinar bellowed. What is the measure of him once he is gone? The wealth he accumulated and left for his heirs to squabble over? The glory he obtained only to be passed on to those who slew him? The lofty position he held through happenstance? No, we fight here because we understand. The end is the same. It is the path that separates men. When we taste that end, we will do so with our heads held high, eyes to the sun. He held out his hand, summoning Oathbringer, which is his sword. I am not ashamed of what I have become, he shouted, and found it to be true. It felt so strange to be free of guilt. Other men may debase themselves to destroy me. Let them have their glory, for I will retain mine. The shard blade formed, dropping in his hand. The men did not cheer, but they did stand taller, straight-backed. A little of the terror retreated. Adolin, his son, shoved his helm on, and his blade appeared in his own hand, coated in condensation. He nodded. Together, they charged back into battle. And so I die, Dalinar thought, crashing into the Parshendi ranks. There he found peace, an unexpected emotion in the field of battle, but all the more welcome for that. He did, however, discover one regret. He was leaving poor Renarin as Colin High Prince, in over his head and surrounded by enemies, growing fat on the flesh of his brother and father. I never did deliver that shard plate I promised him, Dalinar thought. He will have to make his way without it. Honor of our ancestors protect you, son. Stay strong and learn wisdom more quickly than your father did. This is something that I have personally struggled with. And one of the things that fills me with the most anguish is when my honor is questioned and my intentions questioned, or not even questioned, just completely condemned. I really hate being called a liar. And I think it's taken me a lot of time and effort to accept that I can't control how people see me. I can only do what I believe is best and what I believe is right, regardless of how others may react to it. And also, what good is it doing me? What good is it at all to be so fixated on how I'm perceived? Like, is that not another form of vanity? And if I focus so much on how I'm perceived, or react so much to finding out I'm perceived in a different way than how I want to be perceived, could that not drive me to do things that go against my honor? Absolutely, they could. Could I not do things for show because I don't want people to think I'm doing things for show? Like, it's a sick cycle. And this book, that moment, it was like salt in the wound, but like in a healing way, in like a painful healing kind of way. And I want to be more like Dalinar. I want to be honorable when it will earn me favor and when it won't. I want to do what I believe is right, what I believe is strong and brave, when it will be received with glory and when it will be received with scorn. I don't want the outcome to have an impact on how I behave. And there are so many other great stories. There are so many other great values to be gleaned from this book and from other books. And part of the reason I am determined and dedicated to reading more Sanderson, I personally believe that Brandon Sanderson, is a very trustworthy author. I see it in the way that he talks about women, the way that he writes women. He writes like someone who loves his wife, and he writes like someone who loves his daughters. Does he have daughters? I don't actually know. I guess I just assumed. Brandon Sanderson family. Brandon Sanderson. I know he has a son. Oh my gosh, no, he has 3 sons? He doesn't have a daughter. Wow. I'm actually shocked. Because he writes with the tenderness of a girl dad. Yeah, he writes so respectfully. I always know that when I read his books, I'm going to be uplifted and not in a phony, happy-go-lucky kind of way, in a true, genuine. These books are so well written, and I know that I'm going to be challenged. I know that I'm going to be bettered by reading them. So, yeah. Anyway, if you've never read Brandon Sanderson, apparently you should start with Mistborn, the Mistborn trilogy series. Is it 4 books? Not Way of Kings, but whatever. Whatever. It's fine. I'll get to it. So yeah, that's my segment. That's my segment on Way of Kings. The Way of Kings. And I'm about 30% through Words of Radiance, which is the second book. Loving it so far. Loving Shallan's arc. Loving life. Loving reading. Loving reading. I've been holding this. This is a Hobonichi planner, which will mean nothing to most of you, but something big to many of you, or maybe to a few of you, maybe to 5 of you. If you're into planners and stationery and stuff, this is a Hobonichi Weeks, one of the more popular, very trendy, very aesthetic planners. It's small. So the way it's laid out is you have the week pages on one side, and then you have a full sheet of it's not bullet, it's dotted? No, what is this called? It's when there's little squares, really small lines. And people do whole videos on creating setups for the right side of the journal. So what I have in mind is I have a bar for my desired reading goals. So I have it by percentage. So each time I get up a percent, I can just fill it in. And then I have 2 columns. One is a must and one is a want. The musts are the things I have to do. Wants are the things I would like to get done. And then I have a box for dinner plans to think ahead on what I want to make for dinner, what we're going to do for dinner. And then I have a free zone, which is just, well, it is what it says it is. So last week I had book ideas. I was writing down thoughts for today's podcast. I wrote down timestamps for a VOD. So it's just a way for me to have something to put whatever I need to. And I have this planner. I got this planner. I didn't get it until very recently, which is a shame because I didn't get to use it in January. But this plus redecorating my office is in the efforts of, getting my life together. I love working from home. I feel so privileged to work from home. I love being home. However, oh my gosh, it has been personally challenging to me to maintain structure in my life because I'm my own boss and I'm also my own employee. So sometimes I literally feel like I have to sever myself and be boss Dara and employee Dish sometimes, or sometimes it's inverted. Can we talk about Severance? Okay, no, we're going to talk about Severance, but not yet. I'm trying to make my office and my work space and my life more organized and basically enforce structure on myself, because there's a part of me that hates structure, but then I need it also. And I think we all need it. Structure, routine. I know they say variety is the spice of life, and I do think that's true. Routine is like the sugar of life. It's like the warm milk of life. It's comfort. It's stability. Okay? And I think my lack of stability has led to both extreme waste of time, slothfulness, and anxiety-driven wasting of time. I think that's really what it is. And constantly feeling like I'm trying to hold all of these tabs open in my head and dropping the ball and forgetting about stuff. And it's really frustrating. And it is a huge source of anxiety, which makes me shut down. So this journal, this planner, I'm going to be meticulous with it in my own chaotic way, but still meticulous, writing down everything I have to do, every time something is due, because I want to be in control of my life more. Dude, I don't want my days controlling me. And I hate how much I feel bad. And I don't think I'm doing a good job to people who not necessarily depend on me, but people who I work with. I'm not doing them a service, any favors, by making it so they have to remind me about stuff. You know, I shouldn't have to be asked more than once, maybe twice, to get something done on time. So it's for me, but it's also for people who I'm an employee of, I guess, people who I employ. It's for them too. So I'll keep you posted on how this goes. I do already feel better. It's only been a couple days, but all of this is coming together to just make me more rigid while still allowing for creative freedom and expression and stuff. But yeah, not so crazy, dude. Like, sit down. Like, sit down and write for a second. Do one thing instead of 5 things. You know, sit down and read, and don't look at the words and think about it. Journal. Sit in silence, for goodness sake. Sit in silence for 3 minutes without any distractions. Can I do that? Can we do that? What if we did that together? What if we did that right now? We just did like a little miniature meditation exercise. Put your phone down. Put your phone down. No, well, not yet. Put your phone down in a second. Whatever you're doing, put it down. And we're just going to sit here and think for 3 minutes. Okay, are you ready? Sit, think. Do not pick up anything. If you're going to pick something up, it better be something to fidget with. But no input, no media, no talking. Okay, let's do it. And that's 3 minutes. How did that feel? What did you think about? I thought about, well, I feel like I spent most of the time thinking about what I should be thinking about, like thinking that exact thought, and then just having things pop up like, oh, I need to do this. Oh, I need to do that. It kind of felt like my brain was trying to detox itself. I feel like I did have a few moments of head empty time, which was nice. But yeah, man, I low key, I'm like dominated by like the pursuit of the dopamine rush, like instant gratification. Nothing to do, gotta get on TikTok. Nothing to do, gotta open a Pokemon pack. You know, it's not good. And I know that I have more time than I think I do because of how much time I spend on my phone or doing nothing or just like satiating my desire to like feel good, you know? But ultimately it's all like a topical sensation and not really I don't actually feel good from that. I just feel like, okay. So mindfulness. I'm starting my journey in mindfulness because it's not cringe, mindfulness. It's actually an intentional effort. Nowadays it has to be. There's just too much input. Just too much to do, to have done to you. You know, too much to absorb. Sometimes we got to absorb nothing. Just let everything be, you know? Okay. Briefly, kind of. I'm going to try to be brief. Severance. Not enough people are talking about Severance. If Severance was on Netflix, everyone would be talking about it. It might not be as big as like Squid Game in 2022, whenever that was. It may not be that big because that dropped all at once and it was like a global sensation, right? Instant hit. Severance, the first season came out in 2022. And then they took a 3-year break after the biggest, most like insatiably frustrating bomb drop and cliffhanger I've seen in a very long time. So luckily, thank God, me and Joshua didn't start watching it until last month. We binged it. It was the first time we'd ever watched a sci-fi series together. It is, when I say cinema, I mean cinema. The cinematography, the concept, the art direction, the not angst, it's the tension. Okay. If you don't know anything about it, Severance explores what might happen or what might cause something like this to be invented. What would happen if it was possible to sever your memories, essentially put your mind on 2 separate tracks? The first track is your normal life as you've known it, all of your existing memories, all of your family, all that stuff, who you are, what you like, what your hobbies are. The second track would be a brand new track. Who knows nothing about you, nothing about your family, nothing about your life or your personality or your values. Called your innie. Your innie only exists to go to work. So you go to work at this big corporate company. You go into an elevator. Your brain switches from your main track to your severed track. Well, they're both severed. But the innie track. So one version of you, the existing version of you, just goes in the elevator and then snaps right back down, and now you're done with work. But the innie version of you experiences the opposite. So they only know work. They only know this office that they're in, the underground severed floor. So many questions, so many angles to explore. What if you're married on the outside, but your innie version of you doesn't know that? What if they have an office romance? What if your outie is a devout, I won't be specific, a religious person, but your innie is, has no context of this religion, no reason, no upbringing to believe it. What of your innie having to stay in an office like a caged animal to work all the time? They don't get to have any of the benefits of being alive. They don't get to have a family. They don't get to go outside. They don't get to see the sun. Is it you? Is it another version of you? Is it just is it just like a worker bee that you've created? So much. What a premise. What an amazing premise. Not from a book, by the way. When we watched the first season, I was like, is this based on a book? Because it's so well thought out. It is not. Adam Scott, gem. What a gem. He's 51. Did you guys know that? You can kind of see it in his face, in like the wrinkles, but I just thought he was aging poorly. Bro is 51. What? He's so sassy. He's so funny. The way he yells, he like yells in lowercase. Love him. So many dynamic characters. They're all dynamic. They're all so different. There's so many angles. And there's so much more that I won't say because you experiencing it for yourself is so important to me. I want you to experience Lumen Severance all on your own. When we finish season 2, I want to go right back and we watch the whole thing with the context because there's so much to unpick. I love good TV. I love good TV. This sci-fi, there were some moments literally had me jumping on the ground, like jumping up and down, screaming. And I'm a laid back person. I'm a pretty sedated person. Severance. Everything is intentional in that show, which I think should be the case kind of with everything, but especially sci-fi, okay? Especially in like a sci-fi mystery thriller, which I would say this is a thriller. It's pretty intense. Severance. Ding, 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 ding. Go watch it. If you have Apple TV, do yourself a favor. Oh my gosh, it is so good. The new episode is tonight. Well, not for me. You're watching this. You who are watching this wait. Okay, so this episode comes out at 6 a.m. If you watch Severance from now until season 1 Severance episodes, 9 episodes. Nine times, I think they're an hour, so 9 hours, and then season 2 we're on episode 4, so 12 hours. If you start watching Severance right now, you can catch up in time to watch the new episode by like 7, I think, unless the episodes are longer than an hour. I think they're an hour. How long are episodes? Oh, they're 45 minutes. No. You can catch up. So don't go to work. Don't go to school. Forget everything I said about getting your life in order. Watch Severance instead. Trust. Oh my gosh. My throat hurts. I need to figure out how to talk for this long. Ugh. And not feel like I'm sick after. I talk to myself often. All the time, actually. But it's like a whispering, muttering. You know, I'm talking kind of like this. You're not really understanding what I'm saying. You're really understanding what I'm saying when you reduce my words down that way. You're choosing to, that's how I talk to myself and have conversations with people I used to know with. Not like this. So maybe I just need to take more breaks while I'm talking instead of trying to do everything in one breath. My gosh. Okay, so here's your homework for this week. Watch Severance. Start a Brandon Sanderson book. It doesn't have to be Way of Kings because it is tough. I won't lie. I would say between 20% and 40% is a tough stretch. Start with Mistborn maybe, although I can't vouch for it because I haven't read it. So if it were me, if I would start You on Yumi and the Nightmare Painter because I loved it so much. It's so beautiful. It's like his take on romantasy, but it doesn't have any of the garbage that you associate with romantasy. No offense. I'm pretty critical of romantasy as a genre because I haven't read very many good ones. But it's a romantic fantasy / sci-fi actually. Beautiful, kind, well written, but not too challenging. So I would say it's a good way to get acclimated or to get acquainted with Sanderson as an author before you jump to something more difficult. And also do something that you've been putting off. Something you've been putting off or something that you've resigned yourself to as impossible. Do that and start it. Okay. And your last bit of homework. Tomorrow is my birthday. Tomorrow for you, not tomorrow for me. It is also the date of a very important announcement. A very important announcement that I have teased. It'll probably be up on my Instagram story. I'll repost it on Twitter. I can't say. I want to say so bad, but I won't say. But I'm going somewhere. And it's going to be announced today. I mean, tonight. It actually might be tonight. It might be like late tonight. Maybe. Sometime in the next 24 hours is going to be a very important announcement, okay? So go. So just be ready, okay? Brace yourselves. Turn on post notifications or something. Okay? Great catching up. Great chatting. I'm going to go make dinner. I'm going to make chicken. I'm going to make it. I want to say chicken apple salad, but I feel like that's not really. That doesn't sound very good. It's a dark green salad. Try this recipe, actually. It's so good. Dark green salad. Simple. Chop it. Chop salad. Lemon. Avocado. Cubed. Small cubes. Red onion. Salt and pepper. Did I already say that? Might have already said that. Some kind of red apple. I would say gala apple would be good. Gala apple. Grilled chicken. Simple seasoning, cumin, paprika, garlic, onion, chili, salt, pepper. Slice the chicken up and put it on top. So good. Did I say honey? Honey is very important. I'm going to just go over that one more time because that was so chaotic. Okay, base ingredients. Dark greens like arugula, spinach. What's that other dark green? The one that's like purpley? That one. Chop it. Onion, red onion, sliced, avocado, apples, small apple slices, apple fragments, whatever. You could even shred it, actually. If you wanted to shred the apple, you could probably do that too. Seasoning, salt, pepper, lemon, honey. Trust. You could add like balsamic vinegar if you like that. I'm kind of so about balsamic vinegar. Was there nuts in it? You could also add like walnuts or something for a little bit of texture. Even chickpea would be low-key good. Oh, maybe I will add chickpea. Or maybe like kidney beans. Ooh, add kidney beans. Give it a little bit more like protein and carb. A little bit more weight. Yeah, we've been eating so bad. Because we had the Super Bowl. So we ordered pizza and ate a bunch of crap. And then the next day we had Luka Doncic's first night as a Laker. So we ordered wings. So I feel like a chicken wing covered in oil. I feel like a French fry. Fried, salted to death, fried in a vat of oil that's been boiling since this morning. That's how I feel. I feel like my body won't even allow me to eat unless it's something that's like 90% water. So I'm going to go get the stuff I need to make the salad and go make it. Okay, team. Have a wonderful day. I feel like I was a little stiff at the beginning. It's going to take me a bit of time to get used to this format. So only up from here. Okay. Go read, go be well. Remember, you can only control what you can control, and letting your mind be consumed with things you can't control doesn't help you or anybody else. So free your mind of those things and focus on what you can contribute. Okay? Okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching the Logging Off podcast. We'll see you next week. We'll be able to talk a little bit more detail about the thing that's getting announced. And if you have anything else you want me to talk about, feel free to leave it in the comments. Something you want me to read? Something you want me to do? Just let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to yap about what I want to yap about and what I think you want to hear. Wait, I saw the title of the Broski podcast today. It said, "Don't look up the history of Valentine's Day." So obviously, as it is my birthday, Valentine's Day history. Roman and Christian are to celebrate love and romance. Okay, cute. What is the real history of Valentine's Day? Honoring a martyr named Valentine. Oh, Saint Valentine. Okay, I knew that. Later folk tradition has become sacred culture. Okay, Saint Valentine. Oh, I did know this. Imprisonment of Saint Valentine of Rome for ministering to Christians persecuted under the Roman Empire. Yeah, Saint Valentine restored sight to the blind daughter of his jailer. Oh. Litany of the Saints. I'm looking at the sources here. Litany of the Saints. I don't remember that part. I accidentally scrolled all the way down to the bottom of Wikipedia. According to early tradition, St. Valentine restored sight to the blind daughter of his jailer. Kind of sounds like John. Numerous later additions in the legend are better related to the theme of love. Performed weddings for Christian soldiers who were forbidden to marry under the Roman Empire. 18th century embellishments claimed he wrote the jailer's daughter a letter signed "Your Valentine" as a farewell before his execution. Okay, we've got a pretty strong mixture of myth, legend, and historical accounts, at least on this Wikipedia page. Saint Valentine. Valentine. Real story. Not AI overview, not Wikipedia. Okay, what about history.com? What do you got for me? Saint of Romance. Search the internet and you can find Huh? Find plenty of stories about him or them. One St. Valentine was supposedly a Roman. Okay, I don't want the mumbo jumbo. I want the real stuff. Valentine was a popular name in ancient Rome. There are at least 50 stories of different saints by that name. But Forbes said, Forbes? What does Forbes know about St. Valentine? The earliest surviving accounts of the two February 14th Valentines, written starting in the 500s, have a whole lot in common. Both were said to have healed a child while imprisoned, leading to a household-wide religious conversion, and were executed on the same day of the year and buried along the same highway. Historical evidence is so sketchy that it's not clear whether the story started with one saint, who then became two, or if the biographers of one man borrowed details from another, or if either ever existed at all. Perhaps more disappointing for the romantics among us, early accounts of the two Valentines are typically martyrdom stories, stressing the saints' miracles and gruesome deaths, but containing not a word about romance. I see. So how the heck did we get here? How did it become the couple's holiday? Is it like it's like one of those things where Hallmark really wanted to make a quick buck, so they turned a myth into an international holiday. Hallmarks, when did Valentine's Day start? 14th century. Valentine's Day did not become a day of romance until about the 14th century. I didn't know Valentine was a popular name among Christian Romans. Formal messages, or valentines, appeared in the 1500s. By the late 1700s, commercially printed cards were being used. Huh. Interesting. Well, I don't really care. For me, every time I started to see like heart-shaped balloons and heart-shaped desserts, it always just filled me with happiness because it was my birthday. So, no matter what, I always said, even if I didn't have a Valentine, I would still have a good day because it was my birthday. Damn. And that is true. Joshua gets to knock out two birds with one stone, although he doesn't see it that way. He always goes hard for for gifts and stuff. He's always very thoughtful. Okay, my Valentines. Have a cute Valentine's Day. And now I'm actually going. Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. Bye.